Hi, I'm Rocket. Welcome to another Whiteboarding with Rocket. In this session, I'm going to walk you through the Airship video signal flow from the event that happened earlier in the month. I'm going to talk through, at a high level, the conceptual video flow. I'm going to walk you through some of the physical, and then we'll talk through gaps and next steps. And one of the things I did want to emphasize here is I did not want to put together the entire wiring diagram. I'm a good whiteboarder, but that would be just too much for a single whiteboard. I started drawing it out on different lucid charts, etc., and I just realized that it's easier to talk about this at the high level concept. Now, one of the things that complicates this entire event setup is we want to send things out to YouTube as a produced show, as well as make all the video feeds, the multi-view, and the TD comms available for folks to join in and listen to and potentially even follow along with in Zoom. So that adds this level of complexity and output routing and things like that that we really had to take into consideration. We learned a lot from this last event. It wasn't perfect, and we will get better as we go. At the highest level, you have your sources, your cameras that are in the studio, and those need to be sent to Zoom and to recorders. We also have the ATEM switch where we want to send the program out to Zoom as well as the multi-views to Zoom and all of those to a recorder. We didn't achieve that 100% this last time, so we're working on ways to make that better. We also need in-room and in-lobby return feeds. So in the room, if there's setup happening, you can go over to a screen and you can see the different camera views from a single viewpoint rather than having to go behind each camera. And then in the lobby, we wanted to see what's going on, especially during tracking sessions and rehearsals, so we could get an idea of what we needed to adjust when the musicians were in downtime. From a inputs and outputs, we had the 9 video sources, so the 6 cameras, the program feed, and the 2 multi-views, going to Zoom via Zoom rooms. So each of the Zoom rooms has 4 video outputs. So we use the DeckLink Duo 2 connections from Blackmagic. So we're able to get 4 and 4. We ended up having to repurpose one of the Mac Minis, the command and control computer, and use an Ultra Studio recorder interface to send the 9th out to Zoom. Now, this proved to be a challenge. I'll talk a little bit about that during the RFI. For recording purposes, we had an SDI ISO machine that has 4 inputs, and we ended up having to repurpose one of those as program feed out to YouTube. This was a bit of a gap on my part where I didn't bring a web presenter in. I meant to, I'd left it in the studio. That will get fixed next time, so we don't have to lose one of the channels for ISO record. We then have a hyperdeck, and we use that to record program in fairly high quality. From a physical wiring side of things, we have in the room a patch panel, so 10 SDI feeds. They can be repurposed as needed. That runs into the server room where there is a corresponding patch panel, and we patch from there into a convenience panel in the rack. And that way we're not having to reach in the rack and do wiring and things of that nature. It worked out really well. Very excited about expanding that and making it even more robust as we go. And then in the rack, we have all the different destinations and sources and routes and all those kind of good fun business. So some of the things that happened, some of the gaps that we discovered, and some of the RFIs that we captured, one of them was the Zoom client. So this repurposing of the command and control Mac Mini at near kind of the last minute-ish, what we found was that it was either overloaded or the remote desktop solution that I was using or something was causing when I connected to that. This is still a hypothesis. We still have more testing to do. But what it appeared to have happened is when I connected to it, because I needed to, other things were going on that computer that I needed to check, it would drop the resolution of the Zoom meeting. It would go from 720 to 360. Now, every so often we get 1080, but most of the time it was at 720. Now, I don't know if that was my Zoom ISO system, if it was that remote control. Or I was remote controlling into the Zoom rooms to make sure that those were clean. Could have been any of those. So we have work to do to test that out, but as a follow-up to that, and I'll cover this when we get to next steps, we will be bringing in a third Zoom room for the next show. The YouTube encoder, I mentioned that we had to repurpose the ATEM ISO Pro to use it as the encoder. That wasn't ideal, and for now we're going to use a web presenter that I have here, and if we get an upgrade, great. And then local ISO records. So we want to be able to record all of the cameras as well as the multi-view and program. So what are the next steps to address some of these RFIs? One of the big ones is we're going to upgrade from a 2ME ATEM Constellation HD to a 4ME. And that's going to give us a total of 24 outputs. And what is great about that is now we can output everything to Zoom rooms and to record. Now, one of the challenges, if you do that and you have if you have 12 full outputs doing that, then you're out of outputs. So we have a video hub, a 10 by 10 video hub. We're going to route 5 of the outputs from the 4ME to that video hub, and we're going to double those up. So some will go, half will go, the outputs will go to the Zoom rooms, and then half will go for recording. And that'll free up 5 output slots that we can use for Elad and his. So one of the things that we did find that we need a return feed, a video feed for Elad in the booth, and we also want to get sound to the lobby so we can hear what's going on. So this is going to help with that. Getting in the SDI Extreme ISO that has 8 inputs for ISO record, that'll help. We have one earmarked for installation, plus getting that third Zoom room. That's another of the next steps. Getting an external encoder, the web presenter for now. If we find an upgrade or have something better, we can look at that. And then finally, one of the things that we found as a gap was tally wasn't showing up in the cameras. And that caused a little bit of some bumpy times. So we want to add tally, and we want to get an SDI distribution into the room so we can hook return feeds back to the cameras for tally. We've got a great conversation happening in Discord around tally, and really appreciate Jeff and Mickey and others weighing in on that. And we'll be testing some of those solutions before we do this again, hopefully in February sometime. It's been a great experience, and I'm really looking forward to enabling both great live streaming, recording, and learning as part of the solution. With that, I'm Rocket. This has been another Whiteboarding with Rocket.